There's an age-old question in climbing that I'm sure we've all asked ourselves a few times since we started. How much is it possible for me to improve in climbing, and how quickly might I be able to do it? Today I'm joined by two professional climbers who over the last few years have shown that quick progression through the grades, though not standard, is possible, and they're going to be giving me an insight into which factors they attribute their quick progression to. This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Hi, my name is Matt Wright. I've been climbing for 9 years now. By the time that I was climbing for 3 years, I'd climbed 8C plus route and V13. And then just a few years after that, I'd climbed my first 9A and V15. And that came with a lot of discipline and hard work. And I'm going to give you the tips that I learned.
Hi, I'm Anna Taylor and I've been climbing since I was 10 years old, so 15 years now. I started climbing at an indoor climbing wall, got into the kids competition scene for quite a few years, then quit climbing entirely in my mid to late teens before getting back into it and making quite a quick progression into outdoor trad climbing and soloing, which is what I've specialised in for the last 6-7 years of my life.
The first thing we're going to have a look at is 3 points of contact, and this is especially useful for overhangs, but it can kind of be transferred amongst every angle. So the best place to practice 3 points of contact is on an easy boulder, and that is just because you want loads of reserve and you want loads of options so you can really get into it and take your time. The whole point of 3 points of contact really is so that you can get your centre of gravity really close to the wall and you don't barn door at all. You really want to try and reduce any of that sideways movement. What this also allows is for you to keep your arms straight, which is probably the most crucial part of 3 points of contact.
Okay.
Because if your arms are bent, you end up restricting blood to your forearms and you just end up getting like really pumped shoulders. What I essentially do is climb the boulder and I hover my hand just for a few seconds over a hold before I take it. And this isn't something that I've necessarily designed, this has been around for a while, but I have found it really, really useful.
So watching you climb that, you're like pivoting quite a lot around your hips in an effort to keep that leading arms straight, or as straight as you can do within reason.
It's not necessarily the leading arm that you're bothered about keeping straight, it's actually the arm that's loaded. Essentially, this is like the foundation of climbing movement. Like if you master this, this is what will carry the rest of your climbing performance.
I've definitely been on a bit of a like personal journey with the straight arms. A feature of my climbing for a long time was, especially if I was like scared or unsure in a movement, I'd be like right up here, really burning through my like arm, the energy that I had in my arms, like really wearing out my biceps and not doing a whole lot for my efficient climbing. So it's definitely something that I've been trying to drill in.
It's interesting you say that though, because obviously you've been climbing for a long time, but me also, I still incorporate this skill into my warm-ups every single session. And don't necessarily have to hover the holds over the holds anymore, but I do spend a lot of time just really trying to focus on just exaggerating movement. And crucially, one thing to really think about is making sure your hips are always perpendicular to the wall if you're reaching up. Instead of you pulling to gain height, you instead pivot, so you essentially do this, if that makes sense. So like it's really, I mean, applying it on easy stuff like this is one thing, but then applying it to hard climbing, that's when you start to really notice the difference. Especially when the holds are quite poor and you've really got to make the most out of those positions.
I guess with all stuff like this, it's like building that literacy of movement so that it becomes second nature. So when you are trying really hard on project level stuff, it's so deeply embedded already that you can call on it to do hard moves.
Exactly, I mean, that's all that you're aiming to do really. And the warm-up is absolutely the best time to do this. And you just kind of, I guess like neurologically, you kind of flick a few switches that help you then apply that to your actual hard climbing. On the problem we were just on, the holds are all pointing down, whereas when the holds are sideways and undercut and angled slightly differently, that's when you start really feeling the benefits of being able to apply 3 points of contact. This is just a little bit more interesting, isn't it? The holds are definitely on slightly different angles and
like you said, a bit more three-dimensional. A little bit more thought maybe has to go into like, how am I gonna, like in which direction am I gonna pull on this, and where do I want my body beneath this hold to make that drill work?
Exactly, because I mean, I guess like this would feel really, really muscly and quite physical if you were to climb it very front on. Like you'd very much be like having to crank into each position to be able to move. So if you can climb problems like this really, really well, then you're starting to understand that fundamental foundation of climbing performance.
I guess because
despite it's meant to be the same grade, isn't it?
There's a lot of moves where I felt quite off balance.
Yeah.
And where usually, say if I were like warming up on this a little bit mindlessly, just trying to get myself like warm for my session, I'd probably employ a lot of not that efficient techniques to climb it. So like the first move I probably would have just cranked and yarded.
Yeah.
Would have probably been like quite in my biceps and not climbed it like in the best way or the most efficient way.
Yeah.
So I can see why stepping it up to not necessarily difficult boulders, but boulders that don't just present themselves as like jug ladders would be a way to get the best out of that kind of a drill.
I think the interesting thing to think about with climbing is that there isn't a right answer for everything. And like with moves, some moves are just better to go at dynamically rather than trying to go statically. You just you do them faster and you save energy that way. And there is no right or wrong. Sometimes it's easier to go dynamically, sometimes it's easier to go really static.
Now we're going to move into tip number 2, and we're going to switch out Matt for the lovely Anna. So tip number 2 is
confidence at the top of boulders when there's a committing move.
Okay.
Is that something that you would say you struggle with in climbing?
Yes, and I immediately have a good idea for a boulder that I tried in the warm-up, which I backed off the last move on because I was a little bit scared of it. It was
that's
a bit
brilliant.
goey, so
let's go and try that one.
Yeah.
I was looking around to try and find a boulder that would work for this, but if you've already got one, then that's great.
Yes, because this second to last hold it's good, but
It's pretty shocking.
you kind of have to
go.
from it.
So you're at these two crimps that are together, right?
So
And it's coming round to the right.
Sure, I've got my hand on this.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, from the ground, these feet look nice, but when I'm up there, they don't feel as nice.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's not necessarily the hold that you're on, it's just the height.
Sure.
Because if that move was down here, you'd probably do that without thinking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really common thing that I see in climbing walls a lot, is people just holding themselves back because they don't want to commit to something.
Yeah.
And it's really understandable why, but it's similar to what goes on outdoors a lot when I've been kind of soloing or highballing things.
Yes.
It's a little bit different, but it's the same principle where you're telling yourself, I can do this move, I know I can do this move, but I don't want to do this move in this position because I'm scared of what might happen.
Yes.
Outside, it's a little different, obviously, because sometimes what might happen can actually be quite bad.
Yeah.
But in an indoor situation, what's really going to happen if you fall off there?
Yeah.
You know, your feet are below you, it's going to be a safe, clean fall.
Sure.
Nothing's really going to happen,
Yeah.
but you're going to have to convince yourself that you need to really try and block out all those horrible thoughts that are nagging in your brain and saying, oh, I'm going to break my ankle if I fall off
I
this.
think that's it. It's the rationalising. Like when you say to me, what's really going to happen? I'm like, well, what could happen is I'm going to fall off in like some freak accident way. I'm going to break my neck, and
Which is
reeling in those thoughts.
It is a very, very small possibility. Like obviously, you can't remove the possibility of injury entirely, but realistically, that's so unlikely to happen. And I think you can justify to yourself trying that move.
Yes.
So looking at it from here, you've got the left hand crimp, which is quite good if I remember correctly. And then you want to come into the right.
Yeah.
And it looks to me like you want to have your left foot on that hold, your right on probably the lower one of those two, and then drop your knee and go up like that. So you'd be in a nice, comfortable position to reach that hold. It is a good hold when you get it as well. There's a chance, because you're a little shorter than me, you might have to put your right foot up onto the big one instead.
Start moves are actually
they're a little
powerful. Spicy, so we'll see if we can get into the top move. And if not, I'll just climb up into it.
Come on, Hannah. Nice. That's it. Oh, you got it. Twist into that other position, go on. Come on. Oh, it's so close. I could see
So you're definitely the moment then where I'm like, I'd be interested to look back at the footage actually. I think there's probably a moment at the top where I could looked back and was like, okay, I'm going to land there, and in my mind,
I saw
I was
the
already
little
gone.
internal battle just happen the second you got it there. It was like, oh no, I'm here. Shall I try it and just see if there's like maybe an efficient way that would work, that move?
But first, I wanted to hear from today's sponsor, which is Squarespace. This month marks 1 year since we started selling HMBTs on our Squarespace store, so what better time to chat to you about how we manage our small online commerce business with them. Since starting the shop, Nathan and I have released 3 t-shirt designs with a very special 4th on the way, and each time we found it about as simple a process as it could be. Not only does Squarespace provide professional looking templates for our storefront, they also make adding and managing products super easy. We can't wait for the next year on the shop, and we can't recommend Squarespace enough if you have an online presence. Maybe you sell physical or digital products. If so, you can head to squarespace.com/Hannah Morris. Then, when you're ready to launch, use the unique code Hannah Morris for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Oh.
So that's what I was thinking, but I'm quite a bit taller than you.
I think in this setting as well, I feel like a lot of times, like with that attempt, I won't actually make like any progress towards the next hold at all.
Yeah.
And so I kind of ingrain the belief that I get to that point and I don't know, like all of the uncertainties around the next move are still there.
Yeah.
And they're a little bit worse because I've just had
Maybe this time then, instead of sort of making the objective really big, instead of thinking I'm going to get this hold next time, maybe just tell yourself you're going to get up there and you're going to try.
Yeah.
And even if you just kind of scrape the bottom of the hold with your fingers, that's still a massive improvement from last time, and that shows that you do have the commitment to do it.
Yeah.
So I think baby steps like that. Again. That was so good.
Okay.
That was awesome.
It was progress. The fear factor became almost like the impact of holding it, like the catch.
Sure.
Rather
But that
than
time you got up there and you didn't have the, you looked at the hold, you didn't look down, you just went for it straight away. You could tell that your mindset was completely different.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Something is switched where I was like, I'm going for that.
Exactly.
Even if I fall going for it, then I'm going for it. Having felt it, I'm like, oh,
yeah. You look so much more confident now as well, like you're smiling about it instead of looking scared.
I am gonna do the last move now. So I felt that I've got the distance and the hold's good, so just need to give that extra couple of % confidence or bravery. Oh no.
Come on, Hannah. Come on. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Easy. That was so cool.
Well done.
That was still definitely had the like, well, do I want to do this? But I think with stuff like this, it always seems when people talk about like fear, it's not about eliminating it, it's about managing it.
Exactly. Like you're not, I think fear is a good thing as well, because without fear, people do really stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how you do get yourself injured.
Yeah.
But I think exactly what you said, it's just about kind of compressing it and using it in a way that actually helps you in some respects.
Yeah.
Like you know that you're nervous up there, but you can sort of, you can fight against that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think also congratulating yourself for little victories, because every time you made a bit of progress there, you were happy about it and psyched, and that's really good. And even if you don't end up actually doing the problem, just congratulating yourself for trying sometimes is just as important.
I like
I think that's how you keep the enjoyment up.
On that positive note, we are going to move into tip number 3, which I believe is efficiency.
So previously we were focusing on the foundation, but what we want to do here is actually learn to apply that to hard climbing. And doing this right at your limit is like really quite difficult. So what you want to do is just take the grade down, maybe just like a couple from your flash limit. The crucial part of learning efficiency is being able to know the climb. Then once you've been able to route read it, just store that in your mind, turn around, try and remember it with your eyes closed.
Okay.
And try and just visualize the entire route without being able to look at it. So for this one, what I'd recommend to begin with is probably just try it to begin with, just so you can kind of familiarize yourself with the holds, how they feel, where they are, and where the footholds are. And once you've kind of got a rough idea of what it feels like, that's when you start looking at it then and thinking, you know, I did 2 moves there, but I could actually do it in 1 move. Or, you know, I used like multiple footholds there where I could if I just stand on the higher one.
Yeah.
Climb it Nice, really
I
fast.
have a couple of ideas for how to climb that a little bit better.
Yeah,
I'd be keen to get your thoughts.
Interestingly, I think you actually climbed it. In terms of the way that you climbed it, I think we climbed it exactly the same way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But one thing that I did notice is that you're not very aggressive when you climb.
No.
Like, I think you're very kind of, very static and very kind of like controlled.
Yes.
But the good thing is about climbing aggressively is that you can bring a little bit more momentum into it, and that way you climb stuff faster and you end up actually saving a lot of energy because you're not locked into positions for quite so long.
Yeah.
And then also one thing to think about when you start getting things really dialed is relaxing your grip a lot.
Yeah.
And that relaxing of the grip is what really ties all this stuff together, and that's how you end up saving so much energy.
Yeah.
But you can only really do that when you're comfortable on moves.
Sure.
So that's why we need to start thinking about route reading and visualization.
Yeah.
But if we sit down and just really think about every single move, think about all the positions, and then if you can try and run me through it without looking at it,
okay,
then that's what we want to aim for.
So, without looking at this problem, I think I've memorized it.
Cool.
Should I go through the, okay, so wait. Okay, I'm going into the like not so good one that kind of blocks the other one.
Yeah.
Then I'm going into this. Then I'm going out to there, to the jug.
Yeah.
Then I'm going out to here. Then I'm
Nice,
going
Anna.
roll over, I think.
Yep.
Am I?
Yeah, you are,
Then I'm
yeah.
going out to the wide one, into the second pocket, left.
Nice one. With the hand moves then, there was no hesitating whatsoever. You were like, you knew
left,
exactly
for
what you were
sure,
doing
yeah.
straight away. But obviously the feet, there was still a little bit of hesitation. So
Yeah.
what we want to try and do now is just eliminate any hesitation. It can be a little bit frustrating learning this to begin with, because the aim is perfection, and obviously perfection in something like this is really hard to achieve. So, but when you're trying something at your absolute limit, that's where it becomes critical that you don't waste any energy whatsoever and everything's perfect. So I think we should just give Hannah a few minutes just to spend some time looking at the feet, and once she feels ready, I'm going to ask her to look away from the boulder and just tell me all the foot and hand moves, which is really, really hard to do. And you need a blooming good memory to make it work.
Bigger one, into the pinch.
Yeah.
Flag, not pinch, pocket, second pocket. Bring my foot far across.
Yeah.
Left.
I think you've got it now. So,
I think I'm doing a better job of seeing it in my head than I am
yeah, you are.
describing it in
So,
words.
I think the interesting thing is try not to see it, try to feel it. So, like,
Okay.
try and imagine what you're feeling in those moments and where your body's sitting. Nice, Anna.
No.
Really, really good. Nice one.
It was,
That was
a load
really
better.
good. Like, that was so much better than your first go.
Yeah, and so much
Yeah.
faster. It'd be really interesting to put up like a time counter
Yeah.
from my first go to my last go
Yeah, definitely.
to see how much quicker the last one was.
Yeah.
Because it felt a lot more like, I mean, I wouldn't dare to call it flowy.
No, you
But it
look
felt
more
more
flowy. You
flowy.
look really good. Yeah, absolutely. So many of the skills that we're learning today, I've actually applied to my own climbing, and that can be seen quite clearly in the film that I'm about to be featured in, which we're calling Hard Git, no pun intended. No, I'm definitely not a hard git. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm a very soft git. But yeah, the idea is we've filmed a lot of the hardest ascents that I've done over the last year or so, and they're then going to be featured within this film.
Yeah.
Which, I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
I've never been in a film before.
No?
Yeah, no, this is my first time. So
Oh, that is
yeah,
super
this will
cool.
be exciting.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
And it kind of goes into a bit of a background of my past.
Right, should we
Yeah,
move
well done.
on? Thank you.
Next up we have Anna.
Tip number 4, we are over at, one of my least favourite places in the climbing gym. We are by the slab. So yeah, what do you have in store for me on this slab, Anna?
Well, the first thing I was going to ask you is how do you feel about slabs? I think we've already got that.
Slabs is a weird one for me. Like, I feel my slab climbing is actually probably some of my strongest climbing, or my technically better climbing.
Yeah.
But maybe I enjoy it less just because I don't like feeling scared.
So it's a fear and a confidence thing, kind of similar to the big moves.
Yeah.
It's a really rewarding style of climbing, I think, because you don't have to have crazy upper body muscles to do it. Women tend to be really, really good at slabs as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of it, it's pretty basic stuff. It's just good, efficient footwork. Dropping your heels down really helps, so you have a lot more rubber contact on your shoe on the hold. And just body position, finding that balance point. So I think we're going to try this red one first. I'll do it first and just try and climb it as nicely and efficiently as I can. Sure. And then, yeah, if you want to do the same thing, let's do it.
Copy you.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice, come on. Yeah.
It's quite a committing and quite a physical move at the top either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely don't think that holds perfect.
Okay. Well, you can put our previous tip of committing to the last move on a climb to good use then.
For sure. I think you've got this though. That's a really nice climb, it's well set.
Yeah.
I think the thing about these techniques as well, practicing footwork drills, practicing balance points, all that stuff on slabs, it does transfer to other types of climbing. Sometimes it's harder to do that in a practice sense on overhangs because you're fighting your own strength.
Yeah.
But on slabs you can get really good at just all the sort of weird micro beta things that will really help in the long run on all sorts of climbing, and it's a good way to really dial that in.
Okay, with you. Have I gone a bit wrong with my feet?
No, I think you can sort it. What I would do is drop the right foot onto here. That's it. Now bring your left through. And then stand up really high with your right. That's it. And now just commit to this move at the end. Got it. Nice.
Woohoo!
Nice. That was a really good flash.
Thank you.
I think the only thing I would say is on this move in the middle, the way that you used your feet. So you got this.
Yeah.
And then you swapped your feet, and then you did what looked like quite a strenuous move. You kind of did that, and your body was very face on.
Yeah.
Whereas what you could have done is just bring this up into this pocket and then twist, so you're right against the wall. See, my arms aren't bent.
Yeah.
Bring your other foot up, and then super easy to reach that. Whereas before you were like this and kind of clawing for it.
Yeah.
So I reckon if you maybe just did that bit one more time, and just right foot into here, left foot on there, and just really twist into that move, you'll find it a lot easier.
Yeah. And that makes that move so much easier.
Yeah, there you go. And then left foot. Nice. Now just try and get that flag into this final move if you can.
So.
That's it. There you go.
Yeah, still a little bit,
yeah,
but
it
a
is
lot
a strenuous move to lock into that, but you look like you're in a lot more control that time.
Yeah. So I'm going to go find Matt. He's going to deliver the final tip.
We are in the training area.
Why are we in the training area?
So what we're going to have a look at here is training the fingers and the shoulders. And I think this is really important for avoiding injury and just building on that fundamental strength that you actually need to be able to climb on the wall. So many people do say that you shouldn't fingerboard for the first few years of your climbing, but I would say that is absolutely poor advice. I would say density hangers are definitely the best exercise to start with. Simply, all it is you're aiming to fail somewhere between 20 and 40 seconds on a hang, and you want to do between 3 to 5 reps. Intensity is the hard thing to get right because this really just depends on the person. You can initially start with your feet on the ground and just literally pull. Cool. So Hannah's forms here is actually really good. So you notice how her shoulders are quite low and it's just engaged down here. You can tell when someone's got poor form because the shoulders tend to lift like this as they're hanging. Especially when you first start doing this, just keep the sets and reps low and just make sure that you don't overdo it because If you're doing this whilst you're tired, then you'll definitely risk injury. So do this at the start of your session and only once a week. The next thing to have a look at for that physical climbing performance is the shoulder strength. A good exercise to begin with is what I call shoulder shrugs. What we're going to do, hang from the jug and just simply relax, engage, relax, engage. I think a better way to start on this one is if you use a resistance band, it can help you take a little bit of stress out of the shoulders to begin with, because actually your body might not necessarily know how to move in this way. So taking a little bit of weight out of the equation and just really focusing on getting that form perfect. Cool. And what you want to aim for is around 20 reps to begin with. 2 to 5 sets, depending on your ability again. The trick with climbing is quality over quantity, don't overdo it.
Okay, so that brings to an end our 5 tips. Thank you very much to Anna and Matt for sharing those with us. I guess I wanted to caveat at the end that I think we would all agree that there is no shortcut or cheat code for climbing strong. It's dedication and consistency, but Absolutely. You can definitely apply smart tactics and focus your time in a way that maximizes the time that you do have to train and the time that you are spending on the wall, so that you're getting fast gains and staying injury free. If you are interested in online coaching, then you can contact Matt. I'm going to leave all of his information in the description.
If you fancy watching my Brit Rock film, you can find it on Brit Rock Film's website. You'll see the link below.